Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gotham City. I'm your host, Levy Rozman. This is a podcast where I talk to people who live in the chess world on the 64 squares and also beyond them. And in this episode, I am speaking with Tania Sachdev, and she is an international master from India. She is a full-time and all-around chess professional, currently working mostly as a commentator. She has done some streaming. She has represented the Olympic national team of India and so much more. And in this chat, we talk about a lot of different aspects of chess, life, and everything in between. I hope you enjoy. We're live. How are you? Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me, Levy. I'm super excited to finally meet you after being in the chess world for so many years, but never really having spoken to you. The podcast is a great place to start.
Yeah, it definitely is. I told you beforehand that what I wanted to start with was the only place we sort of met, but not for conversation, but to crush each other at chess, was the first edition of the I Am Not a GM Speed Chess Championship in 2020, I guess that was, right? April 2020.
Damn, Levy, that one still hurts. And it's too soon to bring it up still, because I am still struggling to block it out.
Well, the reason I was going to start with that is because what I always told my community when preparing for you, I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to shoot myself because here's why. Okay, hear me out. Here's why. You have the kryptonite playing style to play against me because you play consistent lines. You know them well. They're very good. They're like good mainline openings, and you're just a really annoying player. So what I was gonna start with is that, like, how do you develop that playing style? Is it something that comes from the beginning of your chess career? Because it's true, right? Like you're very consistent with your openings. Like with White, I just couldn't. I was like, how am I going to create risk against her? Like I don't know. And I frequently got some pretty terrible positions against you. It only came down to bullet, which is hardly chess. So.
That's not true. I think bullet and blitz is very much chess, especially in the online world. And I think it's funny that you mentioned the whole kryptonite thing, because I think your playing style is also very difficult for me, because you're really fast. You're very quick at citing tactics, and you do sometimes play these offbeat things, just steering out of theory and then creating these complications. So the feeling of discomfort was very mutual. And I think especially with the online format, it's always been a bit of a challenge for me, because I don't come from that online chess playing generation, at the danger of sounding like a fossil. But coming back to what you said, I think, yes, it's interesting that for the first 15 years of my chess playing career, I was playing E4. And this was actually till before I got into the Indian team. So it wasn't much of a career until then. But once I switched, I remember we got this training from Vladimirov, and that just completely transformed our style. You know, Vladimirov and I think from there it became from E4 to D4. And ever since then, I've been a D4 player. So, and enjoyed the results that I've gotten so far, not counting our match.
Well, yeah, your D4 is like, you have the most annoying type of D4. You play well, no, actually, most annoying would be if you play D4 in Catalan. Then I really would.
Especially these days.
Yes, exactly. Like it's crazy because we played that match almost 2 years ago, but now there's just been so much stuff in the Catalan. But you play like you don't allow the Nimso. I'm like, why not? Let's have some fun. Like Bishop B4. But no, obviously Knight F3 is the best move, and I don't even remember that match and that event that much because of my really brutal second round defeat to Teddy. But it's funny because you say you don't have like the online experience online. It was never sort of part of your training. Yeah, for me it was the opposite. So I played online all the time, but what I realized in these events is that my nerves are like astronomical. Like I am so nervous. I'm missing just 1 and 2 move basic tactics. And have nerves ever been part of your chess career over the board against, like, strong players, or is that just something that some people aren't prone to?
No, I think 100% that's such a human thing to go through, right? And the stronger you get at chess with more experience, you only get better at controlling them, but they never really truly go away. And I think, I do you feel that online chess and over the board are so different from each other? Because I always struggle with that. I mean, I only got into online playing when the pandemic started
Hmm.
because there was no other option. And I always felt that, damn, this requires a completely different skill set than over the board. Of course, you have to be a good chess player, but that aside, it's just so many different aspects that come into play. And I think as far as nerves are concerned, at least for over the board, it always used to happen when I would be low on time. Again, I think that's kind of natural because you don't have that much time to check your variations. You become more intuitive as a player, and the pressure is always high. So the nerves would come in, but I also think that having a bit of nerves is very important for performance because it kind of keeps you alert. It kind of keeps you thinking, and the adrenaline kicks in, and all of that.
That's fair. Yeah.
How would you deal with it?
Well, to the last point that you said, I've had that moment where I am sort of floating through a game, and this is much more in classical because it's so long. It's like 3, 4, 5 hours. You have time to experience so many different emotions and phases of the game. Maybe some of the best players don't. They're just kind of a consistent. Like I'm sure Magnus, very consistent, like throughout the duration of the game, unless he does something accidentally disastrous. But uh, I I've gone through games where I'm just getting like the person is playing much faster than me and better. And it's a horrible combination because you're sitting there, you're spending all this time, and your position sucks, and you can't do anything. But I remember I saved a game a couple months ago where I had a minute versus 35, and I was dead lost. And
Oh, wow. But did that happen because your opponent started playing on the clock? Because that happens a lot, I feel, in chess when you're playing and then suddenly you're low on the clock, and your opponent, instead of playing the position, starts to want to flag you. And in that process, they play faster than they should be and often mess up the advantage.
yes, definitely. But also, there was parts of that game where somehow, with just 30 seconds to make my move, and obviously get the 30 seconds back with the bonus time, I played like only the only move, maybe like 10 times. And I don't know, like sometimes it just happens. What are you gonna do? But
Yeah.
it seemed like I was getting tortured. I was like, okay, I'm gonna play this move and this move, and I'm sitting there slowly going, I don't think I'm losing anymore. And his time is going 35, 25, 20. I still have one or less than one, and now his time is 1 minute, and I got tortured for an hour, but I managed to survive. And sometimes those games are even better than winning. You just leave
You
like,
know, I have a theory, and tell me if you think this is correct. That it's often in chess easier to play really bad positions than it is to play kind of bad positions. Just to defend something that you're dead lost in, it just makes your task easier. I think there are so many reasons for that. You know, it could be that one, you've just given up on life already, so you already know the worst case scenario. And second, you often have, like you said, only moves on the board.
yes, definitely, and particularly when you play stronger players. If I'm playing a grandmaster, even an IM, maybe 200 points. I don't play that much now, but even in some of my recent events, uh, a bad position, it can be annoying for a bit, but it's actually, yeah, it's much easier to just go, all right, I'm gonna lose this game, I'm just gonna play, and
Yeah,
then
come up with the best stuff. And by saying that it's easier to play doesn't necessarily mean that things are going to go your way.
yeah,
But when the torture starts and you're sort of just slightly worse, and especially when you're playing against a very experienced player and a very strong player, I just feel when you have many options, it kind of becomes that much more difficult to defend. But obviously, it depends from game to game. But sometimes I've noticed playing only moves, and things can turn around really quickly when your opponent has more time than you because they sort of just want to flag you at that moment.
yeah, definitely, and I almost never find myself in situations where I have the 35 versus the one. I
I
definitely.
know the pain.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a time trouble addict. I do tend to spend too much time probably against the stronger players, and yeah, if you leave me on my own in the first 5 moves out of an opening, especially if it's relatively sharp and big decisions have to be made, I'm very good at psyching myself out. And the good thing is when you play against weaker players, even 22, 2300. Sorry for anybody watching this that's in the 3 digits, but. You can kind of mess up and it's still okay because you can't really, they can't be trusted to completely refute you. But I've had moments where I'm playing a 2500 GM and I think for 20 minutes I play a move and I'm like sitting there like, wait, I didn't even see the response. They played this move and I spent 20 minutes on nothing. And then you just feel like an idiot and it tends to spiral. But yeah, chess is it's really fascinating, the emotions that we go through in long games. And have you ever worn a heart monitor when you played? I don't think they allow that, right?
No, but I was at the Isle of Man when they were using that on some of the boards, and I remember one of the days they did ask me if I want to put it on. At that time, it was a bit of a contraption with stuff all over your hand.
Oh,
I didn't do it, but there were a few of my friends who did it, who had these crazy results and crazy emotions during the game. But I remember the one time when I think Magnus had it on, and it was a wild game, but his the heart rate monitor was just so constant for him. It was ridiculous. And that just shows the kind of control you have over nerves.
I remember there's also a video on YouTube of him versus Hikaru, right, in the 960 championship, the first edition or something like that, and they both have a heart monitor, and I think Hikaru's heart rate is 40 or 50 beats faster, which is
Yeah. And
which
regardless of the position, because it's often easy to sort of keep your calm and, when things are fine. But when you have a wild game, usually people just go so up and down. But with him, it wasn't the case. And I think what you mentioned about, often psyching yourself out during the game. I think what a lot of people don't know about chess is that you're playing two opponents. You're playing your opponent and yourself many
yeah,
times. And
yeah.
that's what also makes chess so difficult and beautiful at the same time.
Who do you think you play more when you were playing?
That's an interesting question, Levy. I think I think, like, of course, it's you're always playing your opponent, right? I mean, at the end of it, that takes up most of your thinking. But sometimes you do tend to psych yourself out. You do tend to second guess. And I'm very guilty of it as well. I think I very often become my own worst enemy at the board, not trusting myself with my decisions, taking too much time when it's not required, and sort of fighting your own mind. That definitely does happen to me. And I think over the years, it's something that I've consciously worked on, but far from a problem completely solved.
Yeah, I just thought of that question, and now I'm thinking about my own answer. I would I don't know. I would probably say I'm playing myself like 80% of the time, maybe 75% of
Mm,
the time. It's very rare
I think
that
we all are.
yeah, maybe I don't. Maybe it's not groundbreaking. Sometimes you say something, you think you're so wise, but it turns out everybody thinks that way. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, probably because I also spend many hours beforehand thinking of what to play, what opening risk to take. Sometimes I wish I had a repertoire like yours. Like I just know my stuff. Or I don't know. Maybe hopefully you know your stuff, and I just go to the game and I don't really care. Like you can play whatever you want, and that's how GMs prep. I remember I was talking to um, Artur Znekstans. I don't know if you know him, grandmaster, Latvian, and we were talking to him in Vegas because my one of my friends had done a chess lesson, a couple lessons with him, and one of his good friends is named Igor Kovalenko. So Kovalenko used to be 2700, and he's extremely strong in blitz and regular. And Artur's was like, yeah, Igor didn't bring his laptop charger, so his laptop died, and he's just traveling. He doesn't have any prep. He just shows up and like, what? Like I would have a heart attack if I went to a 3 month trip with no computer for chess.
Yeah,
Like
one
that's
second, someone's at the door.
all
Yeah,
good.
no, I would die without my laptop as well. I completely feel you. But it's funny. I think you're being too flattering to having a set repertoire. I think if you're a player like Maxime, then you can do it. You can go play the Nida or the Grunfeld every single game that you want. But I think if you can play many different things and you can, in the openings, I think for most of us, rather than being the master of one opening, being that, well, jack of all trades, as they say, knowing a lot of different openings till a very decent level, I think for quite a strong level, that does work. Unless you're a player like Maxime, who just believes in his opening so much, who just knows what he's doing, that he just, regardless of the result or regardless of how many times he's played it, he will go out there and play it over and over again. I think I struggle with it because sometimes it's so predictable that what I'm going to play that my opponents are able to prepare that and bring that surprise in at first.
Yeah, I can imagine also it can be a little bit of a pain, and you can psych yourself out in this, especially in classical. I think when you have so much time between rounds and you have
Yeah.
like I'm sort of against e4. I just play the Caro-Kann, and I'm at the point where in every line I have probably some weapon that I haven't tried out yet. But yet every single time I go to the game, I'm like, do I actually know anything about this opening? I mean, I'm gonna show up and they're gonna play some line that I just barely remember and then outplay me. And that happened actually in St. Louis. I played Jose Martinez, who's very strong. He plays against Hikaru and Blitz all the time. And he played a line that I remembered maybe 15 moves, and he remembered 16 moves. And it was like a really insane line, and I had to be precise for 5 moves, and I was precise for maybe 3, and then I lost.
Yeah. Is that the tournament that you were playing when we were trying to plan a stream, and then you said, you know what, I'm going for my very last professional tournament, and I said that no matter what happens, if you're once a chess player, you'll always be, and there's no such thing as your last tournament.
Yeah, and I have a tournament in 4 days at the time of
I
recording
knew
this.
it. I told you, Levy.
Well, admittedly, it was my last tournament for a while, and it was a while. It was actually, I had promised to play one more, and I played that one more, and then it's been 2 months since then. But you know that tournament that we couldn't do the collab on? I don't know if you saw my video called I Quit, but I lost to an 11-year-old, and he made me lose. He made me drop out of the tournament. So I played this kid named Ryo Chen, who's 11, and he's the number 1 11-year-old in the US. But if he was Indian, he would already be GM. So you know, poor Ryo, a poor American kid.
If you're not a GM and you're 11 already in this country, it's already time to look at a second career.
I know, it's completely nuts. And I saw today you guys have your next GM.
Yes. I think at 14 years and something. How do you, Levy, I'm 35 and I've got like 2 noms and I'm 100 points away, but I've spent so many years trying to become a GM. And at 35, I'm still not one. How are these kids becoming grandmasters at like 12? How is that even happening? How do you know so much about chess to be that strong at 12?
To be honest, I think if I had to give the best reason, like the number one reason it happens, and I don't know, I guess there's some room for debate. I think when you're that age, you don't fight that battle against yourself. You don't know the anxieties. You don't know, your self-doubt hasn't managed to creep in yet. You're just kind of a sponge. Like, you're just absorbing information. And
what you're saying is the world hasn't screwed you over yet.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. Yeah, and I've said that a lot, actually, I think, about these kids. And then you start adding reason number 2 and 3, like some kids aren't born into the best circumstance. Chess is the only thing they have. And when you see players like yourself, players like the rest of the Indian team, like Anand, and then like all the other kids who are becoming super strong, you can be like, wow, I can be just like them. And I have to tell you, I'm looking at these tournaments on chess24, chess.com/events, not chess24, which I just said twice.
Bye guys, that was our podcast. See you later.
But when I'm looking at these tournaments, like 40% of these open tournaments in Europe are filled with Indian players. It's just insane. People I've never heard of in my life who are 2400. I've literally never heard of them in my life, and they're 2400. So that's probably that definitely plays a role. It's like, you guys are the best country right now. Like, if we held a youth Olympiad, you would sweep it, I think.
We're winning all the medals in the age groups, and I think the talent is so immense. And I think what you said has a big role to play. Exactly that, so much.
Wait, your mic just went nuts. We can barely hear you now.
Is this better?
Oh, I think it's a little better. There's like a distance. Like, if you go just too far, it like totally stops picking up. Yeah, that's good.
That's good. Yeah, no, I was saying that completely agree with what you say, that, it's when you start young, there's so much information that you're ready to take in without any biases or anything, or having to unlearn anything. And you're sort of just improving so much more than, let's say, if you start doing the same thing later on. uh, but also I feel that, for example, my generation when it was 12 is very different from the generation now that's 12.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's of course got a lot to do with computers and opportunities and just the way the world has opened up, and the amount of tournaments. So I got my first grandmaster training, Levy, when I was a little less than 18, when I was 17, I think. And now I see kids, they're getting such strong coaches when they're 8 years old and 9 years old. And it's amazing to see that happen, because I think in a highly competitive world and in a highly competitive sport, it's really the only way to go. You can't take time lightly.
Where did you grow up in a big city or not really?
Yeah, I've always, home has been Delhi. I haven't spent that much time home because of traveling and being outside a lot. But yeah, Delhi is a very big city, and that's whatever little concept of home I have. It's that.
But was there chess there
Not
when
at
you?
all.
Okay,
Nothing.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
zero. And nobody, my family, no one plays. And also in my city when I was growing up, it always had a sort of an academic culture, and the only thing around sports was always to get admission into colleges but never take it up as a profession. And chess was not in the map at all. I remember growing up, I always had to travel somewhere or the other, usually down south in the country, because that's where most of the chess was happening. So yeah, I do come from a city where at least many years ago when I started playing, there wasn't any chess. But also when I started playing, I had no idea that chess would become my life.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I didn't know it until 2020. So
Ooh.
I still I still didn't have any idea, and yeah, now I'm definitely stuck for a while. But I
But
I was
wait,
gonna
why do you say that? What was it before that for you?
well, I graduated college in 2017. Like I know you went to college too though, right? You're a chess player who did go to college. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went to college, and I mean I got some degree in like statistics and quantitative modeling, but admittedly I showed up to like 30% of my statistics classes. So I just got it because it's the right thing to do. It probably opens you some doors. And yeah, for a while I was teaching chess, mostly
Mm,
because New York City is the best market to teach chess. So you can be like a 1200 and get $100 an hour.
yeah. Wow.
Because you can, if you're like a personable and you individual, you can manage a classroom. They don't care if you can teach
Mm,
kids. Like these private schools, they charge $700 for a semester of chess. There's 12 kids in a class. That's $8,400
wow.
for
Yeah.
5 months. So yeah, they make a lot of money on this stuff. So they can afford to pay even people who aren't that strong. So yeah, it's the best market to teach chess. But I also was thinking to go into some office job, and I sort of always stuck around to chess. Like you said, I was playing tournaments even when I thought I was gonna quit, and then I was teaching. But no, 2020 was the year because I was only streaming on Twitch. I had no YouTube channel, and then yeah, I guess like one thing led to another. I
When was that big break point, or that moment when it really became a feasible or a viable career, this whole streaming thing that you mentioned that you were on
yeah,
Twitch before? So when
uh,
did that happen for you?
like maybe a month after like we played in April, I think 2020. I think May June was when New York completely shut down. Although I
Mm,
was not leaving my house already in April. I kind of was like, you know what? I'm good. And the thing about teaching kids, I don't know how much you've done it, but they're all snotty. They're disgusting. They're like snot everywhere, touching the pieces, touching their mouth, like eating. It's like, ugh. And parents. I don't know if this is a thing in India, but American parents like will not tell you their kid is sick. They're like, he's just coughing, snotting, and throwing up. He's fine. And you're like, your kid is like on the verge of death. I mean, what
take him to a doctor, not a chess class.
yeah, it was 2 or 3 weeks into the pandemic, and I had one student remaining. I went in person to. I show up. This kid is blue, like I'm looking at him like I can see the veins in his head. And that day I made him sanitize his hands. We did a lesson, and that was the last day I left my house. And then yeah, like May or June, because
So
everything
thanks
went
to
up.
that kid, you're now a full-time streamer.
Yeah, no, not him. But no, there was, there was some families I was sad about not teaching
Hmm.
anymore, and there was some families I was like, thank God I never have to see you again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was
I
like around
tried.
them.
I tried teaching. I tried teaching. There was this time in my life where I was, really done with traveling, and I was so tired, and that feeling of being burnt out. And I said, you know what? I want to start training, and I opened this academy in Delhi, and I had a lot of kids come in who were very excited, and I was very excited. The new stuff always
Hmm.
gets your blood flowing. And then couple of weeks into it, I realized that this is not for me, and I'm not at the point where I can, where I can really honestly and honestly justify the role of actually teaching. And I just felt like I had zero patience, very bad tolerance level, and I just it takes a completely. We were talking about skill sets for online chess and over the
Yeah,
board chess. Teaching is a whole different
yeah,
universe.
and you have
So
to be
yeah, so
able,
not
yeah.
there yet, but I understand what you mean. And uh it's funny what you said about New York, because yeah, like you're saying that it's a great city to be a trainer in, but it's probably very hard to be a professional player uh in the US unless you're really strong. At least that's the feeling that I got. But maybe that's for everywhere in the world, really. If you're not right at the top, it's super hard to make a living purely out of playing.
Yeah, I was talking to Nils, who's number one, I guess, in Sweden, and he basically said that's the business model in Europe. You play, and you play in the leagues, and you play in these tournaments where there's some participation money, but also some tournaments where you can win some money, and maybe you make some courses. And yeah, I don't know. I've constantly said for the last 2 years we have to find a way to get the top players more money somehow. But then some report comes out that they want to take Vidit's sponsor money to wear his logo. Oh, it's such bullshit. I mean, it's just, yeah. Unfortunately, chess is kind of grabbed by this hand, and it's been like that forever. And okay, chess boomed like an insane amount in India, not even because of PogChamps or Queen's Gambit, but because of Samay. I mean, and all of you guys like doing these collaborations, and now Vishy is not even playing as much. He's like a huge ambassador for the game. But yeah, the top players, there's no difference. I've talked to so many of them, and yeah, you definitely cannot be. What do you think is the cutoff? Like, what do you think is the cutoff for
Hmm.
being a professional player? Like top
I
20?
think it really depends where you're from. Like you mentioned, you were speaking to Niels. I think in Europe, there's this big culture of leagues, right? So a lot of players, even in the 2400s, 2500s, they can go out and play in these weekend leagues, and you're always on the road, and it's never easy. And I wouldn't call it comfortable still, but you can still get on with doing it. So it sort of depends where you're from. I think for me personally, and this is a very personal point of view, really depends. Once again, it's different for everybody. For me, I would say that uh, I would want to put in the effort and continue giving priority to professional play as long as I'm part of the national team in India. For me, it's always been a sort of a big thing in I think it comes from my family from a really young age. My grandfather was in the army, so it's always been a very patriotic household.
Mm.
So I think playing for the country was always. My nephew right now plays golf, and he's also really pushed into it that one day you have to go represent India and stuff like that. So that's the kind of culture that I grew up in, and maybe because of that, so I think I made it to the team when I was in 2008 was the first time that I played the Olympiad. And uh, yeah, that sort of dictated my path ever since. So I think, and it's hard in India, right? Because there's so much competition. It's a very difficult. You just don't know if you'll be in the team the next year.
Who
So I
invites
would
you? But
say
who invites you to the team? And
it's not an invitation. It's not a committee. It's just performance based. So it's a top rated. It's the top 5 rated players of the country make it to the team.
oh
And there's
wow,
this one tournament that happens, the national championship, where whoever wins the tournament gets an additional 25 points, not FIDE points, of course, but additional 25 points for consideration for the team.
I see. And so you're when you were going up the ranks, you were competing against all of India's current strongest players as well, right?
Yeah, and even others who've now retired, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
because
yeah.
when I had just gotten into the team, the top players of the country were Vijay Lakshmi, and who were one generation or two generations older than me,
Right.
about like a 10-year age gap or so. And I think now, when I started, I was the youngest player in the team, and now being in the team, I'm actually the oldest player in the team. So and everybody, if you see all the players, it's a very tight rating package. So we're all, it's super hard to get into the team. I mean, except not counting Humpy and Harika. But all of us are, it's a big fight. And I think, yeah, I mean, it's always a dream for me, and it's always an effort for me to make it to the national team. And then that becomes a priority. And I think when that happens, there are things that come with it that make it a career option. Your tournaments get sorted, your training gets sorted for you. You know, you're
Right.
not thinking about how you're going to do that or what you're going to play next. So that really helps in the planning of the year.
Who runs all that, the training and is there just like a organizing body of Indian chess?
We have a federation.
Okay.
So if you're
So
in
do
the
we,
national...
but ours is complete shit. So sorry, US Chess. Sorry, you guys are great, but no, I don't think. I mean,
I've
I don't know.
spent some time in St. Louis, or maybe I just saw the best side of
Yeah,
it. You know?
you saw like, oh yeah, you saw you visited the city and you saw the one nice apartment building and the rest of it is slums.
I was just at the West End, and that was my entire. I was there for a month actually, so I spent a
Yeah.
bit of time, and then I came back several times. But that's the only part of US chess that I've seen.
Yeah.
So yeah, the best tournaments, the best conditions. I was
Mhm.
like, wow, you guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, I got a private tour of the St. Louis Chess Club because I was there playing this tournament, and I hung out with Eric Rosen. And when you walk in that area with Eric, everybody knows him in the club. So we just walked in before it was even open, and he showed me around. I saw the production room where you've been, right? You've sat as
Of course,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
one in
you-
the basement,
yeah,
right?
the one in the basement. Yeah. It was very. I have to say, this is like
Oh my god, I'm getting very emotional now thinking about the club. Are you a very emotional person, Levy?
This is a very good transition because I was about to tell you how nice I felt using the VIP toilets in the. I was gonna end my little story with a nice joke there, like going, full inappropriate. Yes, I do get emotional in my old age. This has only started happening recently, so between myself and Lucy, I think she cries a little bit more. But recently, I've started really catching up. And we'll just be watching some movie or even some clip of something, and I'm just like, wow, I really feel like crying. And this happens like in stupid moments, like in James Bond. Like I'm like, oh my god, he's suiting up for the last time. This is the last time that he's gonna, save the day, and I start like crying in a movie theater, like some stupid, stupid thing like that. I don't know. Some people cry when they see like a video of dogs or something. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has their own, weak spots, but you guys just got married recently, right? Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
How's that going?
It's nothing's changed.
Yeah.
We're still the same goofballs. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and we're slowly figuring out the next major life event that we have to drop. So we made a joke like, okay, we got married. That's it. I mean, it's it for a few years. We have to get a dog now. We have to.
It's like, okay, now we're bored. We haven't done anything crazy for about
For
2
social
seconds.
media. Yeah, for social media. We haven't
Let's
gotten
get
enough
more content.
Well, the tweet that I put out, the first one, we're getting married, had it got like a lot of big creators liked it and commented, and I think by the end it had 3 million impressions.
Wow.
So it was seen. I'm like, dude, we should get married like every day. Like,
Yeah.
we should just.
Like, let's do this again.
I know, we should just be like, oh, we got like, look at the rings, and then like, it was really funny because the tweet of "we're getting married" versus "we got married" did much better. Like people were
we are
mad.
getting married got more than we got married.
Yeah, like what the hell?
That's interesting. Do you think that's because, that's really the first moment of truth, and then people know it's happening. But then when it actually happens, it's like the threat is better than the execution.
Wow, that's yeah. What a good tie back to chess. The threat is more valuable than people were like, yeah, I've seen this already. Get the hell out of here. Yeah, go. Maybe. Maybe it definitely didn't do as well. But
Social media doesn't lie, Levy.
no, it definitely doesn't. Definitely doesn't. And no, it's been good. It's been fun, and I've talk about it all the time. She joins on the stream, and she knows all the memes, and couldn't have asked.
How long have you guys been together?
Oh man, I told Sagar like the entire origin story. So it's been 3 years. It's 3 in a month, but it feels like 10 because we've been I don't know, we get along well. We have a good time. So it's
do you guys fart in front of each other, or do you guys are you guys comfortable talking about farts to each other?
Oh yeah, we have like competitions. I
feel like that's the real test.
Yeah. No, that's we're sometimes shocked. Like
well done then.
We talk to friends. And some friends, like if they have to use the bathroom, they'll lock the door with their partner and then like and then not leave for 40 minutes. I'm like, dude, if I need something, like I'm gonna open the door and ask you. Like it's all good. I mean, I don't know. If you can't text your partner like I'm taking a huge shit, what kind of partner do you have? That's just my opinion.
You need to reevaluate your whole relationship.
Yeah, but I don't know. Some people are extremely...
I think there are two kinds of couples. One who are super comfortable with the whole bathroom situation, and one who are not. And, like they need their separate bathrooms and stuff like that. So, yeah, whatever works.
Yeah, well, admittedly, we live in an apartment with 2 bathrooms, so we do actually separate things. Lucy has all her product, and I have all the stuff
2
I don't
of yours.
clean. Yeah. I'm not the dirtiest, but it definitely helps.
But you have to admit that women products and all these shampoos and conditioners are so much nicer than what you guys end up using, that actually even if you've got 1 and Lucy's got 20, you're most of the time just using hers. Is that true for you?
Well, I agree I agree with the point, but I tend to actually, I barely use like any products. I've been lucky, like I don't...
Yeah, what's with streamers and never showering? What's up with
that? I do every day, but actually, admittedly, for me, there are some days I'm like very tired. I'm like, I don't want to shower. I'll shower in the morning, and she's like, if you don't shower, you can't come into bed. And I'm like, okay, fuck it, I'll go. Okay, you win. I'm like, dude, we spent the whole day inside. Like, I didn't even sweat. She's like, go shower. I'm like, no. And then I end up showering. So that's yes, I don't know if you've ever seen photos of streamer like Battle Station. They have the monitors, but then like over to the left is a 3-foot pile of trash.
Yeah, and we don't really ever get to see the trash, do we? Because I feel that very often, for example, right now I'm looking around at my room, okay? What you see is this plain white wall, right? But oh my God, my room, it looks like a tornado just hit it. It is an absolute mess, Levy. But nobody knows, right? And it's funny, like when I'm doing commentary for the Champions Tour as well, it's the same situation. I mean, like people see this background and that's all they see, and they think that, okay, this is, they don't really think about it. But every inch of space all around me is one big mess right now.
Me too. So it's actually
it
funny.
Looks beautiful. I mean, is that a very thought out background with the chessboard and pieces and the light?
So what's funny is I have 2 monitors. When I record the podcast, this webcam that you see like faces the window. So the viewing audience usually just sees like a straightaway. So yes, what I learned early on is white background is fine and it's okay. But if you're on screen every day, there has to be something visual like for people. Plus, G Fuel pays me per month to put this fridge here. So at some point...
Shout out to Red Bull.
Yes. I was actually one of the things I was going to talk to you about. Thank you for reminding me. But to my right is this little part of a couch. And the story behind this literal part of a couch is that our couch was too big to fit into this apartment's living room. So we had to remove part of it and we just put it here. And what they don't see is all my stuff piled just out of frame and like a box that we moved in that I haven't unpacked. So yeah, definitely messy, and we try to clean like once a week. We have an Ethernet cable like running the entire floor from my round, and so yeah, It's what you don't see, which is better for the audience. Makes you think that the streamers are all organized.
I think that's the narrative of just social media, right? What everyone sees, regardless of what platform it is just what the creator wants you to see.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the actual situation, or what is happening all around the periphery is a different story. And I think that's probably also not just social media, it's like life in general, right? People you communicate with and talk to, you show them what you want to show them, but there's a whole different world going on.
Yeah, it's horribly unhealthy. Like, there's many benefits, I
Mm.
think, of social media, but my God, I'm lucky that I don't read stuff and get like motivated to respond or do something about it.
You got married for social media. I'm kidding.
Oh yeah. Well, besides that, yeah, like obviously, I mean, duh. I wanted like
3
50,000
million
likes on a tweet.
impressions.
But yeah, I it's probably a fault of my personality, but I enjoy reading people getting really mad, like about things that they can't control at all, or getting really wound up about people who don't know they exist and will never, like, they'll never know that those people exist. And everybody has a different way of spending their time. I enjoy just scrolling through and just sometimes like looking like, wow, people are really mad about this thing that I just don't care at all about. Why are they so mad about this? And they're just fighting with each other. So, but some days I get really tired. Like, I don't know if you go on socials at all, but it's a mess. Like, you asked me to email you the Zoom link instead of Twitter. Is that because you don't check Twitter that much? Or
No, I do check Twitter, but it's just a pain to get it on my laptop. And then if it comes on my phone, then I'll have to like send it on my email. So I was already running a little late. So I was like, can you just email it or WhatsApp it? Because then it's directly on my laptop and I click it and I join the link. That's
I
it.
was gonna ask because I don't know if you use Twitter or any of these other. I guess there's only Instagram and Twitter nowadays, which are nobody uses Facebook anymore.
Now I know that Levy doesn't follow me on Twitter.
I do. What? Actually, if I can defend myself, I followed you before you followed me. No joke, no joke. And this is another fault of social media. Like 2 months ago, when I went to your Twitter and I saw you didn't follow me, I'm like, is that deliberate? Did I say or do something like to Tania? See, this is what social media does. And I'm like,
Wow, I'm feeling attacked right now, Levy. Is this some sort of a defense mechanism kicking in?
no, I mean, I remember, listen, there are some people in the chess world who did follow me who unfollowed me. Like one day I just went to their Twitter page and I was like, what the fuck? What did I do to you? Like, I never said anything about you. Why did you unfollow me? And then and they're not one of these people who only follow like 20 people. They follow 400 people.
Yeah. You know, the problem with Twitter and following and unfollowing is that even if you do it, it's as if everybody just gets to know about it. And then they want to, then it comes up even more. So I just think it's best, even if you got beef with someone, to just bite the bullet and not, make it public. I've seen so many people do that, and then the audience somehow gets to know about it and it becomes like a bigger thing. But no, Levy, it was not the case. You did nothing wrong.
Because listen,
maybe I unfollowed you after the thrashing I got in I Am Not a GM. I was like, this man needs to be blocked out from my life. It was too dark.
I beat you the same way I beat like Rosen and I mean most of my opponents, which is like barely actually even Canty. I was barely surviving in the blitz, and I'm like, okay, in bullet I have only 1 minute, so I can't overthink and psych myself out. And then
I think when it came to time, I was just I don't know how many games I messed up or got flagged in. You were just so fast.
Yeah, but then, but okay, like, you feel that way playing me, and sometimes I'm playing like Nihal. Well, I haven't played him in a long time, but I'm playing these dudes, and I'm just like, how do they even do this? It's just, it shouldn't be legal the way they play.
We were at the Olympiad, Levy, and this was the online one. The whole team was in Chennai, and Nihal was there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And very often he would just be sitting and playing bullet, all night long pretty much. And it used to be just incredible watching the speed with which he plays. It's just superhuman.
Can I ask you?
And it's not, the thing is, it's not just speed, it's bloody good moves as well.
Yep.
And that's where the difference is.
Yep.
It's like when I do that speed, it's every move is a freaking blunder.
Yes, every time I like get mad in a blitz game, I'm like, I'm gonna play fast. I don't even know what I'm doing.
You're like lost in 10 moves then.
Yeah, I'm completely fascinated when some of these younger players are playing. You don't share the name if it exists, but do these kids play on anonymous accounts, or do they only play on accounts with their names?
No, I think a lot of us have private accounts where we can play training games as well. But most times it's just the normal account as well. But I think I will tell you that a lot of us have got our own training accounts.
Yeah. I have a few.
You have a few?
No, I mean, I over time, yeah, I've had some. I got it on both websites, on all three. I don't discriminate. I gotta see what the status is like and who I can train against. But I on my anonymous accounts, I've experienced some titled players like talking shit, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Your name is right there. Why are you? Like, I win a couple games or whatever, bullet, and then, you decline a rematch. And they're just like, F you. I'm like, but your title is right there. Like,
what's your feeling about that? Because I feel like that happens so much in the chess world that you're playing online and, you're randomly matching. It's not like a prearranged match or a best of 3 or a best of 5 or a best of 10. There's no obligation to do a rematch. If you won, you want to move on to your own thing, but it often seems to offend people. What do you think about that? Like if somebody beat you and then you rematched, no prior obligation, and that person was like, you know what, I am going to quit while on a high, and you feel bad about it. How would you take it?
So this ties back to what I mentioned with social media, which is the truth is, like, complete, like, honest truth is, I could not care less if I played a 10-game match or if I played like one game, if someone just beats me and that's it. But definitely on stream. So there's different types of people. So this is where the comedic part of it comes in. So there's the thing where if you win a game, you should give a rematch. Just give a rematch. And then the counter argument is, what if you can only play one game or whatever? Yes, absolutely fine. But I'm generally like, if I play a game, I'll give a rematch. I'll end it at 1-1. I really don't care, but I'll give the rematch. Or there are people who only play one game against one player. Like I've seen this before. I play a person, they don't rematch me, and then I go through their history, they only play one game per player. I'm like, that is psychotic.
I'm one of them.
Well, yeah, but that's weird. Like, that's so weird. Like, why let's play a few games.
Weird? If I'm just matching and if somebody doesn't offer me a rematch, let's say I'm just playing.
But if they did, what if they did?
Then I think it just really depends on my mood. I mean, then I'd be like, I don't think it's like, for me, I'm not, I don't think I attach that much value to it. I completely get where you're coming from. And maybe it's a matter of principle for you. Maybe that's just something you believe strongly in, that you always want to play 2 games, one with white, one with black, regardless of the result you get. For me, it's, if I feel like playing a rematch, I'll do it. If I don't, I'll just click on a new game and play a new game. And there's no thought process to it for the most part of it.
Right.
And neither do I judge, like, or I wouldn't feel bad, for example, if someone beat me, but I don't do it that much on stream because I don't stream as much. But even if I'm playing for fun and if somebody beats me and I did offer them a rematch and if they did decline it, it doesn't kill me on the inside.
But yeah, like, completely bottom line, I couldn't care less. But there is definitely a part of me that even if I win, I'll give a rematch. If I lose,
maybe it's just something you do. It's just something you like. It's you've been doing it for a while. You believe in it, and you feel like this is how you want it. And yeah, that's totally cool.
There's also, so then there's a few others. There's I won 4 games in a row against the person. It's 4-0. They beat me once. Okay, we're done now. You got your win. Let's go about. But then I have people who I'll beat them 4 times. They beat me once. They're like, what the hell? Where are you going? I'm like, you lost 4 games, dude. What do you, I'm supposed to let you catch up? Like, no. Chill out. What is wrong with you? But there is the other one, which is that your opponent is pissed off at the end of this game and you don't accept a rematch. And you let them.
Do you not accept the rematch because you're loving the fact that your opponent's pissed off? Does that happen?
Yes, I've done that.
Oh my God, I'm so guilty of that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, even if I'm in the mood of it, but I know this person's been pissed off from the last game, I just
Yeah,
the evil inside me takes over.
yeah.
I'm
I
like,
played
fine.
I've played some bullet matches or blitz matches, and we have a time like I've won a few games in a row. We have a time scramble. I get stalemated. They're up a rook and 7 queens, and they stalemate me, and they offer a rematch. I decline, and then I sit there for a moment. I'm like, are they gonna say something to me? and sometimes they do. Sometimes even title players are like,
Yeah.
what? And I'm like, I'm afraid of stalemate. Sorry, like, and I don't want to. So, I'm so guilty of that. So guilty.
Yeah.
Even on
I don't think, I mean, I think it was Fisher, right, who said that in chess, it's not enough to win, but you need to like destroy your opponent's ego.
Yep.
I don't think he meant this, by the way, but I think it's just, it's sport and it's fine. I think either ways, whether you're playing, whether someone gives you a rematch or not, you've got 1 game or 2 games. I don't know. I don't have a very strong opinion on this.
Yeah, me neither. But there's definitely some like personality traits, and there's there's lower level is some chaotic stuff. I'm actually I'm gonna leak something not like the full project, but I'm working on a project where I'm going undercover to expose something in the chess world, to see if it's bad actually, and if it's bad, then to expose it, and if it's not bad, it'll be a failed experiment. But I've created like lower.
Wow.
Yeah, lower.
So is it an adventure that you're going on?
Yeah. And I've been having interactions with different people, like in the lower ranks, and some of them are pretty wild.
And they don't know it's you, Levy?
No, of course not. They don't know it's
me.
me.
Wow, that's amazing.
But I'm not like beating them, because like some people speedrun, they smurf, they speedrun, they beat everybody. I'm like losing games. I'm basically just playing people. I can't really leak too much, but maybe I can say it off the record, but.
So it's like a social experiment that you're doing to leak, to expose something
in the chess world.
But if it works out, then you'll expose it. If not, then it'll just be a fun adventure.
Yes, and it's on every website.
Is it personality traits of people we all know but won't name? Okay, I'm gonna stop.
I can't. I'll tell you. It'll be good. It'll be good. I hope it's good content. That's actually the problem. I'm hoping the behavior is really bad, and then I can expose it. Because if it's just good, I'm like, oh man, that's.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I've gotten to know a few streamers in the last 2.5 years, because as you know, that streaming has been such a big part of the chess world over the pandemic, but also in India, it's been a huge thing. So many chess players have started streaming as well. And it's interesting that how you almost hope for something to go wrong, because then it goes big.
Yeah, except when the entire country of Indonesia is after you. But other than that, I completely agree with what you said. Yes.
When you go through that kind of stuff, right? When you're in the middle of it, it just seems so bad. But when you get out of it, and when you look at it in retrospect, there's so much to gain from it. But when you're in the middle of it, you're probably just hating it. What was your feeling when you were in that situation?
Yeah, it was really bad. I mean, again, I don't know how much information you've already heard or the viewers have already heard.
Very little, actually.
Okay. Yeah. So I was imagine receiving thousands of death threats every day.
Oh, wow.
In Instagram DMs, on Twitter replies. So I basically had to turn off notifications on my socials unless it was people I followed. I also had to.
Oh, I had no idea it was that bad.
Yeah, so there was the story, like a Facebook post went viral, basically. Yeah, so it was hundreds of thousands of people. It got to the point that I had to block my videos in Indonesia on YouTube. Like I had to not let, and still it killed only 90% because 10% had VPN.
Damn.
So some of my videos to this day have a like-dislike ratio of 20/80. Because that's how badly they were killed. So actually this YouTube feature, like no more dislikes visible, helps with stuff like that. But it's obviously not very good otherwise. But it was a crazy time. And yeah, to this day,
This is the same incident which ended with, but where Irene played a match as well, right?
Yeah, she killed the guy.
That's actually when I got to know about it. That's when the match happened. And then I remember reading something on the match and then
Yep.
looking up a backstory, but I don't know the details of it. But I was following the whole Irene story, and that's how I got to know that it started with your thing.
Yep. Yeah. I got very frustrated at a certain point, and I just I reached out to a writer from Wired, and they wrote an article about it, and because I wanted the support of my own people, or the people in the chess world. But you have to understand, it doesn't matter. The chess world in its entirety is probably smaller than 4 million angry people, all backing their countrymen. That's the worst part about it. It's just like it was a nationalism thing. I was called like a crazy white man's colonizer. Like it was a racial thing too. It was a very ugly. They were messaging people who I followed on Instagram. They were messaging they messaged, and then people were DMing me like, "Yo, why are Indonesians in my inbox telling me that I should kill you?" It was crazy. It was like degrees of.
That must have affected you so much for quite a bit of time, actually. Wow.
Yeah, the first like week or two were horrible, because the worst part was that the 2-3 million follower pages on Indonesian Instagram were retweeting all the bullshit. So it was just like is amplifying to, and I'm like sitting there like, oh my god.
And I think most people, they get so blinded by the top part of the story that they don't really care about the reality of the situation anymore, and it just becomes this snowball effect of just becoming something big with 90% of the people not having complete information on what they're talking about.
Yeah, it's but now, like we said, now you sit back, you're like, I mean, I have a lot of fans from Indonesia now who are for a while I was even translating my stuff to Bahasa, but I mean, I don't even put English subtitles that consistently on my videos because I'm irresponsible, so it was sort of difficult, but yeah, some good came out of it, obviously. For a while, it was the most viewed live chess game ever. 1.5 million live viewers concurrent.
I'm gonna go see it right after this one.
Yeah. Irene versus it was nuts. One day maybe I'll go to Indonesia, but I actually would fear for my life there, like no joke, because I still get hate messages. Because people still think that whatever happened was a lie. And the guy is innocent.
It's insane. That's insane. And do you think after going through something like that, and taking and getting past it, it sort of also gives you perspective on other things, which then don't seem, you understand that it's okay. These things, a lot of other stuff doesn't matter then. When you have a bigger thing that you've dealt with, it often helps you dealing with a lot of other stuff. Obviously not when you're in the middle of it, but in retrospect.
I want to say yes, but this was such an absurd experience that
was hard to draw anything good out of it. Yeah.
I mean, probably long term, it probably will. But like I'll probably just be like, okay, things die down. It seems awful, but the truth is like things die down. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a person who gets into hot water once a month, and now I need to use my prior PR experience. It also really helped that I was completely correct in that situation. I mean, if I was a more controversial figure who screwed up, like it'd be different. But yeah, I think it what I've sort of started like thinking about is just life is so long, and there are so many more instances that we're gonna get stressed about and worked up and lose sleep over that. Sometimes that's what I tell myself. Like, why are you even stressed about what you're stressed about now? Like, dude, worse shit is gonna happen in the future. You're gonna lose much more sleep. Just sleep. You'll be fine.
For me, it's a bit. If there's been, and there has been, difficult stuff that one has gone through and dealt with, and situations, and when you're doing it, it just feels like your whole world is collapsing. But once you get out of it, very often you can. I really feel that you can draw at least maybe not learnings, but strength from it, and you understand that a lot of things that might seem a big deal might not be, and that you can overcome everything. And I think a lot of strength can be drawn from bad experiences. It's of course not easy, but that's why I was asking, because for me, when I look back and I think about anything that's happened in my life that at that moment felt like the end of the world, and I'm not talking about just social media stuff, like actual real life stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's just, I feel that after some years from certain experiences that you come out stronger, and
Yeah.
you're just a stronger version of yourself and a more you know, screw this shit version of yourself.
On a slightly lighter note, I'm just gonna be right back. I have to use the bathroom, but we'll
Yeah,
edit it out.
sure. Okay.
Um,
That was a good bathroom break at a very good moment.
I know. Yeah. I think I've recorded maybe 15 or 16 episodes, and I've only ever had to take like 1 or 2 breaks, but never on such a heavy subject. So, but it's good because then we'll edit it out. And yeah, well, when we were talking about the fridge, you mentioned Red Bull, and I was going to bring up the fact that it's actually in my notes. You were a Red Bull athlete. You were a Red Bull. What was going on there? Because you were one of 2 people from the chess world who became a Red Bull, I guess, sponsored player. Is that what it was?
Yeah, and I still am with Red Bull. And I'm
I had no
very
idea.
yeah. It's I think it's something that I feel so invested in and so proud of as a player as well as just as a person, just because I think Red Bull is such a great company to be part of. It's never been a typical sponsorship. We've always done really cool stuff around chess, actual events. It's not been about going to tournaments wearing a Red Bull logo or anything like that, or showing up at events as an ambassador, but it's really been about for them as well, pushing me out of my comfort zones with these really challenging events that sort of brings chess to a lot of people, different parts of the country, different audience. And I've always enjoyed that association. So I actually became an athlete with them back in 2013, and now it's been what, 8 years. So it's been a long partnership.
That's nuts, because that's like not how long partnerships with people and companies last usually.
I love
right?
it.
Yeah,
And it's something that I feel it's one of the things in my life that like I really value a lot. And it's, of course, they support me in my career, but also just because of their own vision. And I think and then Red Bull got into chess a bit, and then they were with Hikaru for a little bit. I don't think that I'm not really sure what's going on there, but I know that he was an ambassador with them. They did some really cool projects in the US. So they're always, and Red Bull has always been into fast-paced physical sports, and you've never imagined a company like that getting into chess. So it was very cool, and it did mean it still does mean a lot for my career.
How, obviously, when you signed in 2013, you didn't sign for 8 years, right? So what were the intervals at which you had to kind of go back and be like, does this still make sense for them? Does this still make sense for me? Is it like 2 years or?
So until 2019, it was first time it was 3 years, and then until 2019. And then because at that time I was playing so actively, right? So it was a bit of a no-brainer. I was in the Indian team, we were playing the world teams, so I was one of the top players, and there was always chess happening. So as part of the team or playing individually, going for my final norm and all these things, so there was a lot of chess going on, and that was a big part of our partnership, of me becoming a better, stronger player. But then in 2020, when the pandemic happened, of course it changed a lot, because tournaments were not happening anymore. So at that time it became a yearly review, and even then it was things around promoting the game as much, doing online events, which we managed to pull off. There was stuff we did with streams, with chess tournaments, chess events, a lot of fun stuff. So they saw a lot of value in that. I saw a lot of value in it. And then it became like a yearly thing rather than a long-term thing, because nobody really knows what was going to happen when chess would open up. And it continues to be a very big part of my life right now, Red Bull.
Well, hopefully they pay you more now that the boom has happened, yeah? Because they're probably getting more eyes on them than ever before by a large margin. So, and the Indian audience, like they do not mess around. Like they really support players from.
It's such a great community. You've been on some of the streams, right, with a lot of Indian streamers. You've done stuff with Sagar, with Samay as well. And how's your experience been? Because I feel it's very different. Like the Indian audience and this Indian community, they are so emotionally invested,
Mm-hmm.
and they feel so strongly, and it's just um sometimes it's really hard because there are always a few people I feel can get who will be a little negative, and there's always a little bit of that side of it, the not so good side of it. But for the most part, I think people support you and be with you, and I feel like it's really special, this Indian community.
Yeah, I've probably received nice messages, and just in general, like people trying to break through somehow, and then just writing the impact that you have on them. Like, I was gonna say the most from India. That obviously also probably relates to the fact that there's a lot of people from India who are watching, but it's like 30% of the inside jokes of my comment section, I would imagine, are Indians ages 10 to 20 or something like that. Like they all have their kind of inside jokes, and then they kind of get everybody else in together. And but my one of my first streams, I accidentally like threw a rock at a bee's nest, because it was a stream. It was a stream with Hikaru, Vidit, Anish, and Timur. And we were doing 4-player chess, and there was a moment where Vidit was gonna go, but he was just gonna hang out in the call for a little bit, just to talk. But he never turned his camera off, so there was too many cameras. And so on his side, he just crops the whole thing, like everybody side by side. But Hikaru and I had overlays where you had to only have 4 cameras, otherwise it messed everything up. So I was like, Vidit, would you mind turning off your camera? Because you're still hanging out, and we have to crop it because it's 4-player chess. Like we can't have half the screen or whatever. And that's all I meant. I just, for my overlay, I didn't realize that I was basically telling an audience of like 10 to 15,000 people, like, yo, turn your camera off, dude. Like no one wants to see you. I didn't mean anything negative by it, but I was just meaning it for our overlay.
So unintentional.
Yeah, and there was like for a while for like a week, there were some people like, who the hell does this guy think he is, telling Vidit like.
Oh wow.
But slowly I won them over, and yeah. I mean,
I know for a fact you have this huge fan base in India, Levy. I mean, everywhere, any stream we go on, you're constantly mentioned, and it's always, call Levy, bring Levy. I think there are a lot of fans you've made in this community as well. I think, for me, one of the most special moments where I really realized that no matter what it is, and these are people we're probably, I don't know how many of them we'll actually meet in our real life, right? Like very few or maybe none at all. But just to see how the kind of, I don't know, emotions and love like people are capable of. It happened to me. I had this one. It was when I was playing the World Team Championship in Spain in Sitges. It was in October, right? And I remember it was the quarterfinals match, and I had just it was a very important match for India, and I played probably one of the best games that I've played ever. I mean, I was playing with the black pieces, and it was a knockout part of the tournament. India had never won a medal, so a very important match for us. And I remember I was so happy with the way I'd played. And then at the very last moment, I miscalculated and I lost that game. And it was a very heartbreaking, very difficult moment for me. Luckily for the team, the other girls scored and we went through to the semifinals. But I mean, had we not gone through that day, it would have been very difficult for me to deal with that. But after losing that game, I remember I called up, I spoke to a lot of my chess friends. I remember Sagar called me up and gave me like this big pep talk. I got a lot of messages from a lot of the chess community. But on social media, on Instagram, which I saw later on because I had wanted to disconnect myself from that for the duration of the tournament. The amount of people who had messaged me and just said, like, don't worry, you'll bounce back, or, we still love you. And, like, don't take that. Just supportive, encouraging messages from people who you don't even know them, right? And the next day was the semifinals, and I had like a really big game, and I won that game, and just everything just came back. It just all was really nice. But I think the support, and then obviously you get a lot of messages, which are good because it's your good time, it's your happy time. But when you're going through that really shit phase, and then you have these people who come out and support you at that moment, I don't know if even they realize, because very often you're not communicating with them. Just how much it affects you and how much it pulls you up to get back up there.
Yeah, well, it's like the quote, if I don't kill myself tonight, I'm going to live 1,000 years, from Mr. Sokolov. Is that when you lost that game, or do you get more sad or angry?
So, that was, that game, I think it was definitely 100% more anger because I was ridiculously winning. And it was, if I would have just converted that, it would probably be one game that I would go on to show 10 years later to the academy that I plan to open in. Like one of the best games.
Reopen when you develop the patience to teach the kids, right? Yes.
So it was definitely one of those games which would be, like personally for me and my personal immortal. It was that good a game that I thought I played. And then, you know how chess is brutal, right? You make 20 great moves and then you make one bad move and just none of it comes to anything. So I think it was anger. What I felt was that, how the fuck could I mess this up? And also the stage it was at, it wasn't an individual event. It was for the team, and it was a big moment for the Indian team. And like I said, we managed to go through to the semis.
That's probably a huge boost, right? Like at least, yes. That's a huge.
I mean, I still didn't sleep all night, and I still, needed all the love that I could get, and I needed to be also alone, but also get all of that, the perfect combination. I still, it was really tough. And I remember the next day we were going to play the semifinals, and our coach, he was like, you know what, everything that's happened so far, today is the day that you're just going to make. It's just your day today. And he's like, I can feel it. And even having his support and his belief in me, so yeah, I think it was more anger than sadness. Had we not qualified, I think it would have been just quantum amounts of just sadness. But it was just angry at myself.
Well, that game I told you about earlier in St. Louis against Rio, so it was obviously an individual event. So for that game, I got my pairing, and I saw he played King's Indian defense, and I was going to play something against him I'd been prepping for so long. Like I had played 50 Blitz games in, no one knew about them. I've never talked about it on stream. I'm like, oh, I'm going to detonate a bomb on this poor child of prep. Like it is going to be brutal, and I'm going to win the game in an hour and a half, and then I'm going to go play tennis under the lights of St. Louis with Eric.
You planned your whole life.
Yeah, I planned everything. I got my prep on the board. He thinks for 20 minutes. He plays a move that's like not in any of my notes. I'm like, okay, what's wrong with this move? There must be something. I'm like, what if I sack this pawn for this initiative? Sitting there like, I think I'm just completely winning. And then I make one inaccuracy, like one. I'm walking around going, should I have traded knights and then played like this? It's probably still fine. But he plays the best move. Now I'm like a little frustrated, but I'm like, I'm still fine. Let's go for this position. Again, I'm walking around like up 40 minutes on the clock. I'm like, can he play this move in response? I come back, he plays it. I'm up 40 minutes on the clock. It's plus 2.5. All my prep is working, but he's starting to like kind of figure out his position. Yeah. And lo and behold,
he's 11.
He's 11. Yeah, he's playing all the top moves like to save his position. Immediately after I'm realizing that he can play them. And I'm still better, but I have to be very precise. And then I have one move that's like impossible to find, and suddenly he has the initiative, and I can still save the game, but one thing leads to another, and I lose. So now I've lost a 4-hour game, so there's going to be no tennis, and I used my prep, so now everybody knows I play this line, so I cannot use it anymore. I don't think I've ever been that angry.
An 11-year-old destroyed you.
Yes, and an 11-year-old took my soul. And what made this game manageable afterward was the thought of, this game I will remember for the rest of my life, and this kid will forget about in a month. Like this child will be like, oh yeah, I won that game. But of course there's like a YouTube video because I make my recaps. So he's going to be like, yo, I made this dude quit. He's so trash, bro. I made him quit the tournament. I withdrew. I couldn't even play round 9. Like I could not play round 9. And I was like, it was round 8. I said, I'm not even going to play the last round. Yeah. That's the kind of losses that... How did we even get on this subject? We were talking about your team event, and before that,
and then the loss I had, and then you mentioned about But this is one of the quality traits that I think I really admire in people is that when they take an event which really hurt and then make it into something lucrative. And by lucrative, I don't necessarily mean monetize it, but also that it could be that, but also draw something. Like you mentioned that you made a video out of this. And, I'm sure it's a very entertaining video, like all of yours are. And you, instead of just dwelling on it and feeling bad and sad and unhappy about it, you or hiding it from people, you actually made valuable content from it. And I think that
Well,
is also therapeutic. Is that therapeutic?
Yeah. I make recaps of all my games. So this game wasn't like some unique special game, but yeah, after games like this, first of all, you don't want to make the video, but it actually does help. I've also lost very frustrating games in this kind of comeback to chess, and I know that when I leave, I have to talk to people. And as a chess player, you never want to do that. So you never want to, and I have to talk to people who just basically want selfies. It's less of the positive, we're cheering for you even after this loss. They have no idea how I did. They're just there because they want to tell me they watch my content and appreciate it, and they want to take a photo together. And I get that. But I have to fight every urge to just like want to run, just full speed to the elevator.
Oh my God, completely relate. It's with me as well. I think after we've had a tough game, it's a very chess play. I think you really need your own time. And I know different things work for different people, but I think most chess players just really need to get out of that situation. The one thing that helps me a lot is to be on my own, but also to look at the game, no matter how heartbreaking it is, no matter how difficult it is. Once I've got it out of my system of actually going through the game and seeing what happened, what went wrong, even if it's at a superficial level, getting mad at myself really helps me recover from it.
Yeah. I when I went back to the room, I confirmed that my 2 moments of letting him back into the game were actually accurate, and I was and I had basically one move that could have seized back the advantage, which was unfindable. I spent 40 minutes on the move too, and I couldn't find the combination, and so I wasn't like super. I mean, it was more just the situation. Like everything went right, and then everything went wrong
before it went wrong.
Yeah. So
and the thing in chess is, right, Levy, when it's going right, it's like this slope, right? But when it goes wrong, it's like a freaking valley jump.
Yeah, it's terrible, and
it's a cliff.
Admittedly, because this all began with us talking about the audience of India. Like, there's a lot of them just some obviously, but it's not just not anybody in particular, like specific to India. Everybody backseats. Everybody gives you some crazy psychoanalysis of your games or quotes what other people have said. Because right now, I'm very public about this. Return to GM, climb to GM. Oh, this guy said this about you. This guy said this. Hikaru said this. Naroditsky said this. Whatever. So there's that side of things, but it's very small. But it's true. Like a lot of my comments, the most upvoted comments in a lot of those videos are just, somebody named Ashwin or something, because they all put their names there too, and like you have their full name, and somebody's just like, yo man, just want you to know, I've watched your content for like a year. You helped me go from like 400 to like 1200. And I know you can do it, man. I know you can become GM. And I read it, and it makes me happy. Like, obviously, I never forget like the impact I can have and the reach and everything. But I am still definitely my own worst enemy, because I read that and I'm like, there's games I play or moments that I'm like, nope, this is never going to happen. Like, unless I have massive sacrifice, which you have 2 norms. And what's your highest FIDE rating that you've ever had?
2440 something.
So you know what it takes to be there. It's so much work. Like, right? To be 2440 and become competing at a GM norm level. Like, how much were you working every day? If you tell me like 2 hours, I'm going to be so mad. Because I remember when
a lot.
Like 6 hours, 4, 6, 8 hours.
Right now I'm 2392 because of the amount of work that I stopped doing. And then I just, you get lazy and your results. That way chess is just brutal. It just shows when you're working well, when you're putting in the amount of effort, you can see it in your games. And then if you're not, your games will show you that. So I was, I think it's definitely harder to get those 100 points that I need compared to the 1 GM norm that I need. Because for the 1 GM norm, you need things to work out in one tournament.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right that the 100 points is it's a consistent effort. And it's a consistent effort with giving up pretty much everything else in your life for a big period of time. And then you have to understand that, there's still little guarantee of stuff, but you have to be ready to make it and to put in that effort, knowing that it may or may not work out.
And that's just awful. Like, at least before pandemic times, before chess had anything like this, and you could do it. You could just go and that's it. You're just gonna do your whole chess grind and prep and do your openings and so on. But everything has changed. I remember even in 2018, I would find a new line that one GM played in the French defense, some interesting new idea, and then I would go play it, draw a GM, beat some 2400, and that's it. I can retire the line. But now everyone knows everything.
Yeah, everyone knows. Yeah.
I lost to a strong player, like obviously a strong player, like 21, mid 21 FIDE, maybe 2300 USCF, in St. Louis. I played in a line. I played into the Nimso, and he played in a way with black I'd never seen in my life. And it turned out that a 2100 rated player using Leela made a chessable course, and recommended to play like that. I've never seen it in my life, and he just killed me. I was like, come on,
it's hard. Chess is so hard, and it's getting more and more hard.
I know, it's just
and I think it's, I mean, you're spending a lot of time. You're amazing at what you do with your streaming and the kind of content you put out. I think that kind of makes it more difficult to be on your professional chess journey. It kind of takes a hit. I feel that sometimes with commentary. Yeah, no, that was it. Yeah, that it's just hard to, then if you're talking about being a professional player, you have to kind of give a lot of stuff around that you're doing up, and that's also a part of your passion and things that you enjoy, right? So it's sort of hard to make that call.
That was funny. You very abruptly stopped. I was like, did something cut off? No, because I thought you were going to say with commentary. So when I've done commentary before, it's fun because you can hang around all the top players and you can see their prep, and you go back and you do recaps and you're like, oh wow, this is like some new cutting edge thing. But if you even leave the world of chess for a month, I mean, it's like a complete disconnect. And streaming and blitz and all this, it completely kills your ability to focus in long games. Yeah, I think really the only thing that helps is you have to have good prep, and you have to calculate so accurately. It's just I'm getting to the point where if I calculate a 4 or 5 move variation, the piece is wrong on move 4 where it controls the squares. Like, I will frequently just miscalculate the slightest thing, and it's worrying. I have a tournament in 4 days, so like, it's really bad. And my tournament has 3 GMs who are not even bad. So
where
you
are you playing?
My friend is starting to organize these round robin events in New York, so he's getting some players. So I have 3 GMs who are not bad, which is already a problem because you need 3 GMs who are trash to give you draws and wins. But I have that. Then I have 4 or 5 players who are teenagers who are 2400, and then I have myself. And a guy named Kevin, who's like also 25, 26. He's higher rated than me. I think he is a better player. But we drew the last norm event. So we are by far the 2 worst players in the section. He might disagree, but he's wrong. And the 5 norm seekers who are teenagers and 3 strong GMs. Like, it's going to be a disaster. If
do you have all your norms, Levy?
No, I have 0.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my highest rating is 2430, but I have no GM norms.
That's crazy. I mean, you're like, whatever I've seen of you play, that's kind of hard to imagine though. But tell me one thing, right? Like, because we're on this topic of streaming and chess and all, you obviously enjoy streaming a lot. That's the only way to be able to do it. I'm just going to assume that.
I like making videos more than I like streaming. For me, but yes. Yeah.
But in your experience with streaming and in the chess world, who would you say has been the most interesting personality or a chess player to stream with or to make content with?
Oh, that's so much pressure. Probably, well, we did a lot of collabs with Hikaru and Anna in probably the earlier half of 2021. That was like a whole kind of phase and period of time on its own.
I think Anna and you have got great chemistry, by the way, when you're commentating as well. You can feel it. I've seen a bit of it, and I think I really enjoy it.
Yeah, we might actually do a collab soon. It's been a while since I've kind of collabed with anybody, but that's because, like I said, Twitch just became such a non-priority for me. For reason like YouTube is just much better than Twitch in many ways. So that was like a chapter totally on its own. Yeah, we didn't the three of us or any of the two of us doing collabs
You
were
enjoyed that.
yeah, it was pretty fun, but then I just wanted to build on my own. I didn't want my entire brand to be like Hikaru's commentator, or frankly, I was called Hikaru's bitch a lot, which, I took the hits because whatever. Collabing was still good. I mean, everything
Yeah.
was still fine. But at some point I was
think
like,
it comes with the territory, right? Like if you're getting, I mean, there's also so much good to be taken out of it that
Yeah.
sometimes is slight, and there's always like just a very few people, I think, in the community who would do that, and then you just have to take it with a pinch of salt.
yeah. No, I mean, I came into it with a much smaller channel. The real only appeal there was that collabing with myself or collabing with Anna would make the content. It would just be different flavors of content. It wouldn't be the same stuff all the time. Plus, Hikaru or any major creator, when they sign with an org, there's an amount of hours that you have to be on screen.
Yeah.
And if he's going to play these events, like, yeah, we got him. We'll do the charity stuff. So we did the stuff. It was good, but
That was fun.
I really wanted to do my own thing and grow it and scale it. But I think the most interesting and fun person to collab with in the chess world, because every time I don't mention Northern Lion, his subscribers get very mad. So he's like the most fun, but he's not like a professional player. I would say Anish. I think that's a
always
pretty
fun.
yeah, that's a pretty fair. I don't understand him at all. Like from the from the standpoint of, I don't understand how he can be so good at chess but so normal. I mean, maybe he's not. Maybe people know things about him that I don't. But like, I can personally say, I've had conversations with him. He's even helped me with a few things before, and like, it's I am shocked you can be that normal and like normal looking. Nothing's wrong with him, it seems. So to me, and he's like funny, and I mean, I can watch all his interviews and be interested. So probably Anish.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What about for you?
I haven't streamed as much, right? I'm mostly doing commentary, and but whenever I do stream, I think I've done a lot of. I always try to make it something interesting that I want to try out, or if it's not a normal just chilling stream. I've done maybe like 20 and all. But I think I've always enjoyed. I've done stuff where we play. There was this one stream I did, I remember, with Surya and Hari and Soumya and me. So the four of us, we had sort of this different formats of chess where Hari and I teamed up against Surya and Soumya, and I had a lot of fun. I think for me, it's like if I know the people I'm streaming with, it becomes like this chill zone, this friend zone. I haven't collaborated or done much with people I don't know, or like new stuff. Maybe I'll look into it this coming year. But so far, it's just always been with friends or people I know, and I've really enjoyed that. Yeah. But let's see, maybe I'll do more streaming this year, and then I'll be able to answer that better. But right now I haven't. But I mean, there's like one person that you really want to get on or get on a collab with, or do a stream with, like from a chess player. Is there somebody you would be very interested in doing something with?
Yeah. Well, everybody wants me to, like, I would think that if I got Magnus on a podcast, I would ask him. I would get a lot of interesting, actually, like, serious and joking stuff out of him that I feel like doesn't really get asked. I just don't feel like there's a lot of fan questions and things surrounding players that don't really get answered. Everything from like, would if Magnus chess boxed, would it be a success? For example, like everybody say, "Oh, Magnus would kick everyone's ass. He's in great shape for boxing." I'm like, how do you guys know that? Like, why do you know that? Nobody knows, right? So everything from that to actually more serious stuff.
Yeah.
The problem
Also,
is,
I think Magnus is a great person to interview because he's just so freaking honest with stuff.
Right.
You know,
the problem is, I was gonna say the problem is, I'm kind of like, if you don't, and it's the same thing that happened with the Indian audience for the first time. If you don't actually like know or watch my stuff, you think I'm just a total degenerate, which is fair. And so I think inherently I will lose the respect of certain people. And I don't know if that is the case for Magnus, because if Magnus ever goes to look at my YouTube videos, I probably have 100 named after him, because I like to milk the YouTube algorithm. And just little things like that. Like, I think there will be people I'll never get on the podcast, because who am I?
Name one.
No.
I'm kidding.
No. But there's people who've even rejected invitations or just pretend that I don't exist. So that is, it's okay. It's okay. This online boom is its own thing, and if I have been reduced to chess influencer as my official job title, then that's fine. But I mean, at least I can say I'm an IM, because if I was rated like 1600, then I would have significantly less credibility.
I think I honestly feel like that perspective is so ridiculous, because you are an international master, right? Like, with you're trying to get better at chess, but that is your strength right now. And despite that, you've been able to make an entire career out of something with which doing what you enjoy, what you love through chess, helping so many people across the world, or just also being an ambassador of the game within your capacity of streaming. I mean, that has added so much to the game. So I think this whole thing of you not being a grandmaster or a 2700 player, or you being an chess influencer, I think that's something to be proud of, because what you've done for the game, very few top level players or grandmasters can. And I think, I don't get that, because it's very special what you guys do.
Yeah. I can't say the same nice things about myself, because then I would be a narcissist. But I'm just I just do my thing, and I try to be respectful to, like, all the top names, even if unless they're trying to steal the money of your sponsor, in which case that's just fucked up. But yeah, like, I'm not, entering controversies or whatever.
Chess drama, gotta love the chess drama.
I know, it's like every time it's something new, I'm like, yes, something to talk about, nice, something to angrily tweet about. But no, but to be honest with you, I am like completely, like, I'm 100% positive of it. And you and I, the chess world actually even more than me, because you've played at some prestigious open and closed and championship events. So we are aware that this kind of mentality does exist, I'm sure, in chess, that, some people don't deserve this or that, but but whatever. If the result is I won't get to talk to some people here, or oh well, I suppose I'm gonna keep doing my thing.
It's totally worth it, Levy.
Yeah,
That's the price you pay for the kind of things that you're doing and bringing a difference. I mean, it's such a difficult. Chess is difficult. Making a career is difficult out of it. But to be able to do that and to sort of influence and impact so many people at the same time, in whichever way you choose to do it, right? It's not that the only thing or the only way around chess is that you work your ass off and you become a top player, you become a 2700 or 20. Yes, that's amazing. That's great, right? And I mean, it takes so much, and one has to have the talent, one has to have the skill to do it. But also, what everyone can do around chess by making the game, what it is, or bringing it just the way you guys do it, I think it's phenomenal in its own way as well, and the two can't be compared.
I think so too. I think the same applies to, well, I'm always just constantly thinking about how we can take all these viewers or people who are just watching on YouTube or whatever, and scaling it and doing more cool stuff with sponsors or orgs or whatever. But that's how I spend most of my time. But I was, on that positive note, I always end these things with asking the person who I'm interviewing what is next for them. So what is next for Tania? Are you playing in some Big
Well,
championships.
I did. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, are you playing in some big events? Are you playing? Are you gonna do more streams? Because I know it's kind of an inside joke. Anytime you boot up a stream, it's a rare occurrence. I've seen those memes. So what's the future?
It is, right. No, I think definitely looking forward to playing more this year as things open up. I think in the summer, my first confirmed tournament as of now is in April, the Reykjavik Open. Now we don't know what's going to happen with this whole new Omicron thing and how it progresses, where it goes, what that means for tournaments, for our life in general.
There's a Deltacron, by the way, now. So
yeah, and there's like another variant that's come up in France as well. So I have no idea what's. So we'll see how the world opens up. But for now, my next confirmed event is in April, and definitely in the summer, I'm looking at playing one of the European circuits, either the Spanish one or the Czech one. The Champions Chess Tour starts in Feb, so I'm going to be back with the commentary for that. And let's see how much of that I'm able to do. It also depends on, once again, what happens with the world team, with the Olympiad, with the selection for the Asian Games. And all of that depends on how I play in these summer tournaments. So just going to see what happens, but it's going to be a lot of chess, whether it's commentary or playing once again in 22.
I'm actually surprised that now that I'm thinking about it, were you not invited to the Gibraltar thing, or were you?
I was, but I couldn't make it this year. And that's so heartbreaking because I've started every year with Gibraltar, and it's almost like a second home for me there. I know everybody so well. It's like a family, and I love that event. I've played there for about 8 years before I started working for them. And then I worked with them for about 4 or 5 years. So I remember when Brian called me, and it was for both ways. I mean, it was, to either work for the event or to play. And if I could have, I would have, but because of some other commitments, I wasn't able to go to Gibraltar this year.
They didn't invite me. I don't know why they didn't invite me. They invited Eric Rosen instead.
Yeah, Eric's playing there, right? Also, it's a different format completely.
I know, but it's such a cool format. Also, you can get a GM norm, I think.
It's a super cool, because it's a 10 player, 10 versus 10. So you play, you have your chances to make your norms. So, and it's a strong event.
I know.
Very cool players playing. I think it starts on 24th of January.
I know. Don't remind me. I'm like jokingly mad. I'm like 10% mad. I never heard anything about this. Eric was just like, I never heard anything. Eric was like, I'm playing. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is Gibraltar? He's like, yeah, it's 10 on 10. It's like, and but now I'm gonna have to make recaps. So I
like this thing that you always find a way around things, and you do stuff anyway, and that's a very cool attitude to have.
Yeah, but I would have liked to play. If I played, I would have played and made recaps.
The feeling.
But I've been to my grandparents took me to Gibraltar when I was in Spain when I was 16. So I've seen Gibraltar, but I've never played there. But I know that it's like a beautiful place. That's one place I actually would travel for a long event with Lucy, because traveling with Lucy to the tournament in the US makes no sense because you play 2 games a day and it's depressing. And
you have no time.
But somewhere nice like that would actually make sense.
You guys would have loved Jib Chess. I mean, it happened in 2020, and I think we had Ale and Tatev were traveling, and I think some other American players as well. But Jib Chess was a whole different. It's such a strong event and a great event to play, but also for this whole thing that you're saying, just to see the place and to get some time to enjoy it, and also the activity. It's just a whole different. But I don't know if it'll ever happen again, because there have been some changes in Gibraltar with the hotel and stuff. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will see. In the meantime, we have some chess coming up. We'll look forward to you resuming commentary duties for Meltwater, if that's even the sponsor. Or
they are. Okay. They signed up, and I'm super excited. I think it's just, I remember the first year of the event when it was the Magnus Carlsen tour. It was back in 2020, and it was just, it was funny because it happened at a time in my life where there was a lot of stuff going on, and I feel that it really kind of helped me in many different ways, and then it just became this big part of my life in 21. So looking forward to a whole new season that starts. It's just changed the entire online chess world, and I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, I'm super excited. But to quote the great NBA legend Charles Barkley, we're just gonna have to sit here for another 10 months and pretend like Magnus Carlsen isn't gonna win everything. It's a load of shit. It's like when the Golden State Warriors were at their best. You just have to sit here
Stop,
like, ooh.
Levy, you're giving away. You're giving away all these secrets.
Yeah, Magnus needs to start with some sort of handicap, like no shirt.
What do you think about that? Do you think it just almost makes the chess world a little less interesting, just knowing that it's always a fight for second place? Or almost always.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's cool to live in the world where we might be seeing the current GOAT, or the forever GOAT, even to eclipse Kasparov. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit upsetting. I would love to see him lose to someone drama. And just, yeah. And Alireza, he's up there, but he has yet to beat him in classical. So that's sort of the breakthrough. Like Tata Steel is coming up, and I saw the breakdown of Magnus and his previous opponents in classical, and it's murder, except Yesipenko. But okay, I mean, one win out of one game, but it's just disgusting, like what Magnus does to these people. It's like, but
he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's okay.
Not bad.
Yeah, Tania, thank you so much, honestly, for today. It was a lot of fun. It's always fun when guests don't just sit there and kind of get questions thrown at them and just sort of answer. And so
I felt like the interviewer for most part of this. I'm sorry.
It's good. That's I like that.
Levy, do you fart in front of your girlfriend?
But that no one has asked me that. Like I've had a lot of interviews where I always try to encourage folks beforehand to kind of throw, and that's not throwing shade at any of my previous guests. You've all been great, but some of you just a little you like to let the questions come to you. And
which was the most challenging podcast so far?
I can't answer that. That would be bad. I once
which was the most fun podcast so far, not counting this one.
Yeah, this one and ooh, that's a good question. Probably gotta give it to Samay. I mean, how can I not give it to Samay? I had a lot of fun ones.
You guys have a good bromance going on, no?
Yeah, we do. He doesn't always respond on time, but to my WhatsApp, but he does get back to me, and he also messages me like 3 hours before a collab, like, yo, bro, you want to do this tomorrow? I'm like, what? And usually I try to say yes, but sometimes I've had to say no. So.
You're lucky that it's 3 hours. It's usually 5 seconds for most of us.
Yeah, but you guys have the same
it's
time
like,
zone.
Here's the Zoom link, just join.
Yeah, it's usually, but with me there's a time difference, so he has to account for it. But yeah, it's probably from the two of you. But yeah, I'll let you know when it comes out. And till then.
Sounds good, Levy.
All the best. As always, folks, if you made it this far in the episode, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting the podcast. It's obviously not the major part of my content, but it is an extension, and it's super, super fun to work on. So if you'd like to support me, I'm on Twitch, I'm on YouTube. You can subscribe. You can check out one of my courses at GothamChess.com. And other than that, not much else. I will see you right back here in Gotham City for our next episode with our next guest.